Hello and welcome back to the Comic Lounge. Today is going to be a really interesting episode. Not only is this a comic haul video, but this might be the most key-loaded comic haul video to date. Now, there's definitely a few filler comic books I picked up, mostly ones to kind of at least for me to, read and so on. But for the most part, there's definitely quite a bit of keys. And since I was kind of picking these up, gradually throughout the week, for this episode, it came out to about, 12 comics. So, before I get into any of these 12 comics, I will see you all after this. So, as usual, I go to the local comic shop, or at least it's not really, again, it's the Highway to the Gaming Zone, but they sell a lot of back issues. They mostly specialize in back issues. So, whatever ends up being brand new comics or stuff that ends up getting, traded in, or someone is trying to sell to the shop. So, that's normally how I end up getting some comic books that I haven't been able to get to, and again, I just don't have a whole lot of time to go out of town. But either way, this is one I ended up picking up, and again, ended up getting at least some good deals on some of these. So, let's get into the more filler books first before we really get into the big ones. And there is a cool filler book in there as well. There's a very cool filler book. So the first one, again, this is the definition of a filler book, but it's a really cool one, but it's definitely one that I got from mostly reading because it's pretty much in more reading condition. But Web of Spider-Man number 55, just a great Alex Savia cover, and obviously with the... And by the way, writer Jerry Conway is here, and obviously I like some of his stuff. Of course, he's the creator of The Punisher, so... That's all you need to know. But yeah, it's a filler book, but again, it's a newsstand edition. Definitely late 80s Spider-Man book, but I don't really find a lot of these all too often. And I was given about, $3 for it. I mean, for the condition, it's not super horrible, but it's definitely not high grade. It's more like a very lower mid-grade condition. Still, it's more for the reading than really for anything pure collectible. So that's all. It's really cool though. Couldn't pass it up. This one's definitely a pretty fine filler book, but this comic actually leads to an even better key book actually. But it's a DC one. It's Captain Atom number 43. Mainly I was kind of looking for some cool sort of horror-based kind of covers or something, stuff I can actually kind of read, that kind of get into mood for, let's say, whenever October rolls around. But again, these Captain Atom comics are normally around, $2 each, whatever, at the shop. But I got it mainly just because of cover, but as I went back, I saw that this had a character named Necron, and who is actually, by the way, is on the cover, and there's going to be something real interesting because this actually led to me finding out what his first appearance was, and I will eventually get to that first appearance comic. But this comic is what sparked my interest on searching for that first appearance comic, and I'll get to that. But one thing I should bring up, this is technically kind of the character's first cover appearance, so it's definitely a minor key, but it's one of those that kind of, goes under the radar. But that's basically Necron, a villain. But I'll get to whose villain that he was introduced as. But since it being outer space and being, for Captain Atom, you probably should take a good guess which villain if you're not familiar with DC comic villains and so on, or more obscure comic book villains from DC Comics. And these are the type of villains that normally James Gunn would be interested in probably throwing in a lot of the movies. And since there is another show coming up that's in the works for HBO, it's going to lead into that. So yeah, there's a lot of hinting here. Either way, it's really cool. Not perfect condition. It's actually a pretty good condition comic, but other than that, there's definitely almost a loose staple there. But still, it's still readable. It's still passable. So it's definitely close to a high grade, but not that much of a high grade. It's definitely a really good mid-grade copy. So there you go. Speaking of one that I really got for reading, but it is still really cool, and gradually when I find these at least these 80s Bronze Age Batman books, I pick them up. But it's, since I picked up a Brave and the Bold issue about weeks ago, I ended up finding this there. And it's definitely more closer to maybe a high-low grade copy, but very low mid-grade for this Brave and the Bold issue. It is number 174, obviously with him and Green Lantern. But I should definitely mention, this technically can be considered also a small key, since it kind of is the first meeting between Batman and Sinestro. Or first battle between Batman and Sinestro. So that's a fascinating one. So just kind of throwing that one out. But it's really cool. I got it for about $1. So now that's a perfect dollar book. Now here's one I ended up getting for $3. And the guy gave it to me for like $3, and for the condition it makes sense, but it's definitely a book that in a higher grade will be way higher as far as condition wise. And this is from, again, the low print run for the Punisher series. This is again number 93. We're getting, again, I have number 99, but this is number 93. But again, this is around the low print run for the character and for this series. So great Bill Sienkiewicz cover. Again, it's very much close to, it borders on being a low-grade copy, but, you know, you don't really find a lot of these low-printed Punisher comics. Every once in a while when you do, you kind of have to snap it up because of, they're not super easy to come across. They're tricky, but when you do, it depends on how good a condition you're going to end up finding them in. But high grade for this probably comes close to maybe $15 at least. That might be stretching it, but it's at least a close estimate, close to $15 for a high grade of this. Still not bad. So even though I paid $3 for it in this condition, in a higher condition, it would have been a little more for what I would end up paying for. But either way, I just can't pass it up. And it's perfect for me to read it, just to kind of see what the stories were during this period. But yeah, Punisher number 93. Now, speaking of a comic that I underpaid in this, for at least a comic book of this caliber, in this condition, and it's definitely not a key, but it definitely has a small bit of value to it. But here we have is Rawhide Kid number 66. Now, once in a while, I would end up looking through the Western books to see what I can rummage up here and there. But for a Silver Age comic, $5, and yes, this is not that bad a condition. This is actually probably more than what the shop, I think, would. They probably, then again, I probably can understand, because of these don't sell too well at a much higher price, I believe. But in this condition, this is actually close to a mid-grade for a 12-cent Silver Age comic book to begin with. This is a pretty good mid-grade, and most of the Rawhide Kids I see around that are at the shop that are from this period normally are a little more worse shape than this. This is a pretty good shape for one of these, and $5, to me, that was a steal, so I had to grab it. And one of the fascinating things while looking up is that even though it's Rawhide Kid, there's normally at least 2 other stories that gets printed in these comics. Even though being 32 pages, they're able to kind of do short stories. But there's a 2-Gun Kid story in this issue that's written by Dennis O'Neil. Again, best known for doing his work on Batman. So this was a no-brainer for me to pick up, and in pretty good shape to begin with. And better than most I've ever seen any Silver Age comic. And even though it's late Silver Age, it's you know what, in this condition, it's still not that it's still kind of tricky to find Silver Age books, even late Silver Age books, in this condition. You can, but for the price of $5, and given that this is, again, it's not a major key, it's not the big Marvel books, but it's still really awesome, and I just could not pass it up. Even with all the small little bit of spine ticks and some defects, it's still popped. It's still the color pops and all thing. It's still very bright, and it's perfect. For me, it's near perfect. Let's get to the keys. See how quick we can get into this. This is definitely a mid-grade copy, and where every once in a while, I'll look to see if I can find the Mike Zeck covers. This is the only reason I care about this series, is only for the ones that are drawn by Mike Zeck. But this one's a small key, and it's a great cover, but it's G.I. Joe Real American Hero number 40. Again, a great roadblock cover, again, drawn by, at this point, one of my favorite comic book artists, Mike Zeck. But this is a key issue. This is the first appearance for Shipwreck, who was a sailor, Barbecue being a firefighter, and there's a couple of other characters. There's even one more character I just forgot already, but there's first appearance of Lampreys and Key Hall, which were, of course, they were sets, actually. They were meant to be more like sets to kind of promote. Still, it's definitely got a few couple of first appearances in this issue. So, it's definitely not a key to snooze on. So, it's a mid-grade copy, but for $5 and being a Mike Zeck G.I. Joe cover, just kind of around the period that he started drawing the covers, it was a no-brainer for me, and I had to snag it. So, there you go. G.I. Joe Real American Hero number 40. Now, this one is, here we go. Here's a pretty good key comic. And this is already becoming a fairly interesting key due to the movie. But here we have this Justice League Europe, number 11. This is actually the first appearance of Joseph Mason, Metamorpho's kid. And after the Superman movie that James Gunn just directed, if you've ever seen it, you know the scene that I'm talking about. Between Superman and Metamorpho. Well, this is the first appearance for the kid, and it's in this issue. I paid about $3, and it's definitely not bad condition. It's still a fairly good mid-grade copy for this, but this is definitely going to be gaining more grounds due to the movie. So, there you go. Pretty much a key now because of the movie. So, first appearance of Joseph Mason. Justice League Europe number 11. Here we have his Superman number 17. This is the second appearance of Silver Banshee. Again, this is during the John Byrne period, so it's definitely a late 80s Superman comic. I paid about $3 for this one, and being a direct edition. Not a newsstand, by the way, but it's a direct edition, and due to the fact that Silver Banshee had already appeared during the Arrowverse, I can't remember which, was it like Arrow or Flash or some one of those TV shows that Silver Banshee actually ended up appearing for the first time ever live action wise. But this will be the second appearance of Silver Banshee. So, really cool. Eventually I'll find Action Comics 595, the first appearance of Silver Banshee. But this will do for now. In pretty good condition for that one. Almost bordering on a high grade for that. Now, since I alluded to the key comic book where the character Necron first appears in, well, here we go. It's Tales of the Green Lantern Corps, number 2. This will be the second issue in the 3-issue miniseries that were published in 1981. By the way, very cool Brian Boland cover. But this is the first appearance of Necron, a villain who, can control the dead or the living or something like that. He controls the underworld of the living and so on. And it's a really very cool character to begin with. However, this is not just the first appearance for Necron, but also the first appearance for Gallius Zed. Or Gallus, I think it's Gallius Zed is how you pronounce it. And that's definitely not a I wouldn't say a complete minor character. He's definitely a fairly notable character to begin with due to the uniqueness of the character, basically a big giant head with arms and legs. And this is the first appearance for that, and that's a character who has made his live-action debut in the Green Lantern movie with Ryan Reynolds. So even though it was more of a cameo, it at least made it to the big screen and could end up making it again into the Green Lantern TV show that might be on HBO Max. So this definitely could end up seeing some at least some sort of activity. Still, for pretty good condition. This is definitely bordering on a high grade for this one, and for $5, newsstand, I couldn't pass it up. And by the way, I was seeing another copy that wasn't boarded up to begin with, but it wasn't as good as condition as the one I found actually within the actual boxes of Green Lantern comics. So definitely had to grab it. Even though, again, there's some small spine ticks and everything, I couldn't pass it up, so had to grab it. Eventually, I'll be looking for number 1 and number 3, and maybe even the annuals. Alright, so the next one are going to be all good keys in this one. So, since I've been dipping more into a lot of the X-Men keys, here we have one. Since I was eyeing this one for a long while, I had to at least eventually pick it up. But here we have is Uncanny X-Men 193. The notable thing is that even though I had actually, I showed the, was it Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends #1, which was the first appearance of Firestar in a comic book. However, since that was more in the continuity of was it the animated TV show, the Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends that was on TV in the 80s, therefore it was completely unrelated to the actual main Marvel comic book universe. But it'd be until this comic book where the character Firestar would make her real debut in the Marvel, the actual Marvel Comics universe. So this would be her first appearance in the Marvel continuity comic book, like the main continuity. And there she is on the cover again, John Romita Jr. And also first appearance for the iconic Shadowcat cover, or at least Shadowcat costume. So it's a pretty decent mid-grade copy. So still, I couldn't help it. I had to snag a copy of this. So there you have it, Uncanny X-Men 193. And speaking of some other pretty good keys, since I had shown you on my birthday video that I have picked up it's almost bordering on a low grade, but still is a fine low mid-grade copy of X Factor #5, the first cameo appearance of Apocalypse. Here we have is the second full appearance of Apocalypse. It's X Factor #10 during the 25th anniversary special border cover issues. Again, that came out in November of 1985, I think, or is it 86? Yeah, 1986. But what makes this more fascinating is that this also is the first appearance for the character Prism, which would be Robbie. So there's at least a first appearance in this comic. So, and this is also kind of during the Mutant Massacre storyline. But this is actually a pretty good mid-grade copy. And the crazy thing is, I got this for $1. The shop gave me it for $1. It might have been during closing time, but either way, I paid $1 for this. That's a steal, basically. I couldn't pass it up. And eventually, I was pretty much looking into buying anyways, but that was a one I couldn't help snag. And finally, here's probably the first real major key issue in this to end out the video. But it's Uncanny X-Men 201. Now, I had made a mistake on saying Nathan Summers as, was it Nathaniel Richards? I completely made that mistake. So here we go. I get to redo it. This is the first appearance of Nathan Summers, aka Cable. So, even though this is not as nearly as valuable as, let's say, New Mutants number 87, but since I have a copy of New Mutants 87, it being the second print, I had to at least have a copy of his real very first appearance as the baby Nathan Summers. And so this definitely is a fine mid-grade copy. I had to, and I got a pretty good deal on it. So, there we go. Uncanny X-Men 201, first appearance of Nathan Summers, aka Cable. I'll say this, not a bad haul, not a bad purchase week. So if you have any comments on all the comic books I just showed you, you can all leave them down in the comment section below. But if you want to stay tuned and continue keeping up to date of what I end up uploading, and just to see what else was sort of crazy goodies I end up picking up, not only will it do me great, but it's going to do you great when you hit that subscribe button, because you'll never miss out on another video. So with that, I hope all of you enjoyed. Take care and keep on buying, keep on reading, and keep on collecting comic books, everybody. Just take care.